Welcome to Talking in Stations. I am Matterall here with a few friends. We're going to talk about a couple of topics. One is a little more on what happened yesterday in Basgerin with Snuff attacking a Satya that belonged to the Sixth Empire. We'll go back and review that with Arsia, who's an FC. She participated in that fight. We'll also talk about the North and see what resistance is keeping Fraternity from rolling over Tribute and Vale in that whole area. And we'll talk to SerQwaez or Marie Rathbardo about that kind of stuff. All right, well, let's get started. I want to first introduce Arsia Elkin. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. It's good to hear from you. Arsia is also known as Baleful Dysnomia.
Dysnomia.
I second guessed myself. Okay. Baleful Dysnomia. And I'm sorry about that. I was improving and then I second guessed myself. Also with us is Marie Rathbardo or SerQwaez. How you doing?
Yeah, hello.
Good. And from our group here, Grigorin. How you doing, Grigorin?
I'm doing all right. You?
Good. We have Dr. Spod staying up late in England for us. How's it going, Spod?
Yeah, it's tiring, but it's good.
All right. Well, we appreciate the sacrifice. All right, let's actually have a look at what happened yesterday again. And we'll go to the area that this happened in is SerQwaez Zone, again, the center of Empire Space. If you were here yesterday, we talked a lot about what it's like having a Keepstar, or not a Keepstar, but even big structures inside of space without a military. And we talked about the geography. So we'll go to SerQwaez Zone. Let me get situated here.
The Keepstar was reinforced today as well.
Oh,
so
I knew
we're going to have another one. We're going to have another one.
I knew that was coming. I knew it. Of course.
Armor timer is 17:30 tomorrow, Saturday, Eve time. So that's going to be the armor. So I'll see most of you for the next big dance at the hall again.
Well, I buried the lead then. All right, so let's talk about Basgerin. Let me click on it here so you can situate it. This is SerQwaez Zone again, Galente Space. Basgerin is right here. And wow, the Keepstar is reinforced. They must be a little bit nervous about that. Here's Basgerin. What happened yesterday? And then we'll talk about what's going to happen in a few days with the Keepstar.
All right, so as everybody knows, Snuffed Out hit the Sixth Empire Sodio in Basgerin. The fight started with Snuff sinoing a big, entirely capital ship force onto the Sodio. It was mostly kept paused by the Titans that they had, because they had a few Titans shooting it, which worked down the hull timer, the hull. Where, well, the big blob of carriers and facts kind of protected the Titans and each other from anything that got close. There was quite a giant number of groups on field, all pinging around and shooting at each other. There was some attempt to coordinate snuff targets, being done in local of all places, like A for effort, but the
I want to mention that on Panda's show today, and that sounds like people should have tried at least putting together a coordination Discord.
So, like, there was a coordination Discord, but it wasn't really well coordinated, kind of. A lot of people were just kind of thrown in and said, hey, we're coming. And people came, and it was mostly just the hundreds of groups shooting at each other on field. Like, I saw, like, Seco and Drakes. I saw, like, another Drake fleet that was maybe Spectre fleet. I was FCing Min Mill and Ferox's. There was a Phantasm fleet that I think was the Foxholers. The Retributions, there's like Fraternity. There was just like everybody you can think of. Wrecking Crew was there with Tengus. Like, if a group exists in low sec, like everything from Streeball Clade to Silent Company was there, and most of us shot each other at some point or another. The Amar Mill, the Min Mill, I saw some Caldari Mill people. It was everybody. It was what I would call a quintessential low sec fight. Unlike most null sec fights, most big low sec fights don't have two sides. They have 200 sides. And yesterday really had 200 sides.
Yeah. So there was a coordinating channel. Why weren't you all working together, or were these people just not committed to work together?
So like nobody was really bringing anything that could break Snuff, and there wasn't enough groups trying to coordinate their guns in the same direction to actually break Snuff. I think Snuff lost one fax. Like they lost almost nothing.
Yeah,
One
that's
fax and a bunch of fighters, right? Because we took out a bunch of the fighters. But so they lost effectively nothing, right? Because one fax is absolutely nothing, right?
Yeah.
And compared to like what they dropped, because most people were there with like, I think we had 70 people in fleet. We had 50 Feroxes and then like a 20-person Jackdaw wing that was another group that was in our fleet. Like we couldn't break a Titan under 4 fax reps, right? 4 or 5 fax reps. So like, are we gonna just sit there and kill fighters? We tried to sit there and kill fighters, but like immediately after the fight started, C-Code, the Drakes warped over and started shooting at us. And I tried to headshot Casper. He caught reps. We pinged and Snuff killed him. So, like the other groups were shooting each other immediately out of the gate. And you couldn't really trust anybody else not to come out and scram you. And if they scram you, you die. So you kind of have to shoot people who get close to you, even if you kind of want to shoot stuff more.
Well, I wonder if that's, we didn't talk about this yesterday, but a function of just inviting random people to help you out, just putting it.
No, even if they didn't post on Reddit, the word would probably get out. Like you see the same thing to a smaller extent in like the faction warfare zones when there's a timer. Like the last Usher Khan timer in Camilla, you'd think, oh, it's going to be a Mar Mill versus Min Mill. It was a Mar Mill and then Min Mill and then Baltrum and then Snuff. And that's not even to mention like any third party people that might have been around. That's just how fights go in Losec. Everybody in the neighborhood shows up, and it's usually a bad day for the Citadel owner. If Snuff is going to be beaten, all the various other large groups of Losec have to coordinate and point their guns in the same direction, and that's unlikely to really happen beyond just casual, like we're on the field at the same time, let's shoot Snuff. There's not gonna, it would be really hard, I think, to get a bunch of people who maybe don't like each other that much to coordinate. You'd have to basically do the low sec version of what the Poppy group is doing right now to beat Snuff.
To beat Snuff, you have to either bring like quadruple their numbers in something reasonably focused at beating them, or you need to be willing to play the Apex low sec game, which is full high grade pods, faction battleships, fancy faxes, expensive dreads, supers, what have you.
And you're probably not going to do that as effectively as Snuffed Out.
So
There are only
yeah.
2 other groups in the game who can even pretend to compete at that level, and that's Wrecking Crew and Siege Green.
Right, Siege Green, I hear, does a pretty good job of fighting Snuff.
But they can only do it in Korea time zone.
Right. Well, could you switch timers to Korean time zone and petition to them for help?
A little late for that. Takes a month to switch a timer.
Yeah. That might be an effective strategy, is to see if you can't befriend anything that can counterweight Snuff in the time zone that doesn't favor Snuff would be desirable. I could see that as a strategy going forward. It would also enhance the profile of an already interesting group, Siege Green. But we might have we might have been in error yesterday when we were talking about this battle, because the initiative wasn't there helping out Snuff, were they?
Initiative was just like everybody else, just kind of shooting targets of opportunity. And they had some tiny fleet that it was. The initiative wasn't helping us now.
I thought I just saw one corp from the initiative, TD Sin, which is not your typical initiative corp, since they were a long-time Wormhole Alliance.
The little initiative fleet was doing the same thing everybody was doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is interesting because they do have a history together. It's not like it would be a surprise if Initiative was there helping them out. Snuff and Initiative have worked together for many years.
So, like, the group that was working with Snuff was Dank, which is like Poltram's guys, and they were there with capital ships with Snuff, right? Anybody who was working specifically with Snuff came with their capital doctrine. Like,
I see. All right. Well, how did you enjoy it, or did you enjoy it? It seemed like it was a bit of a headache for you by the end.
tie-dye fights are draining because like they're not my norm, right? So
Yeah.
it's a lot. You have to like process, like especially in low sec where it's like you might not want to shoot everything that's on your overview immediately, right? Because like we know like the Phantasm fleet that from the Foxholers wasn't shooting at us, so I wasn't messing with them either. Like I kind of knew what groups were trying to shoot me and what groups didn't seem like they would, and then most of the people fell into like probably. So it's like a lot of information to filter. And I just don't like tie-dye because it's like I feel like things aren't going fast enough and I get anxious.
Yeah, let's just be Sikander very clear that Initiative wasn't participating, but a corporation initiative was, and that is Exuki's corporation, who that's puzzling, but it's also not. You said it was a small fleet and they were doing what everybody else was doing, so they weren't really helping. Even Exuki's crew wasn't really helping anyone in particular.
Not any more than anybody else was now.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, people showed up and shot what they thought they could kill to pad their skill boards, right?
Right. Even at the end when something's going down and it doesn't look like it's going to be saved, everybody turns their guns on it just to score it on their scoreboard, which is...
I mean, I even shot a token round into the Sodio 6th Empires right to EM, so I can put it on my skill board like a... Like I can prove I'm good at PvP by shooting one round of it, shooting one round of antimatter and do it at 2%.
Nothing to prove, but I don't know.
I'm just being tongue in cheek, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was there something else we needed to correct as well about yesterday's report when we were talking about this?
You said I was leading a fleet of Rorquals, right?
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Ferox is but close.
Well, not Rorquals. I said Caracals, but I think I mumble, so it might have come out as you leading a fleet of Rorquals, which is pure comedy. I would love to see that.
If I could get 70 Rorquals, we might be able to take on stuff.
You probably could, right? How many minutes of stasis is that where you would be impenetrable?
So
There's no asteroids on field. You can't do that.
Oh, that's true. Not anymore.
The first time I ever FC'd anything, Snuffed Out dropped a fleet of Rorquals on me, so my frigate row was outnumbered by a fleet of battle Rorquals.
Okay, so I may have said Rorquals, and that is weird because I clearly knew Caracals. But I wasn't even correct there, so there's no excuse for me at all. You were, what ship were you leading? Ships?
Ferox.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do people fly Caracals these days? That's the Caldari.
Yep.
Yeah, Caracals
Always
are popular, right?
Is it popular?
They're the default anti-nano gang response.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Good for them.
Ferox is just good because we had like 150 range, so we could just be over there and taking shots at people, right? We didn't really want to get close to anything.
What is so good about Feroxes?
The range.
Okay.
Feroxes are the kings, or at least they were. I don't know quite how the math works out with minerals these days. But Feroxes are the king of just like raw stat efficiency. ISK cost to EHP to DPS.
Yeah,
And
lately they've
add
been,
on to that they've got decent projection. And they've always been if we need to trade, Feroxes are good at trading.
But
They're
lately they've
inexpensive.
fallen behind in terms of cost because of the mineral issues, but
They can
overall
still do
they're
the job.
yeah.
They're inexpensive while being solid and easy to train into.
Yeah. So when an EVE player says they're a good trade, that doesn't mean you trade for another ship or for money. It is trading as if you're going to kill me, I'm going to try to kill you, and that's trading. You're trading losses. And so when they say it's good for trading, that means it's good because it doesn't cost so much. So your efficiency in the end works out, because if you lose 100 ships, you lost so little money that it was a good trade.
Like by the end of the fight, we only lost like 7 Ferox and 2 Scimitars. So like we lost almost nothing.
Wow.
But
was nobody shooting you?
Oh, people were shooting us, but like every time somebody kind of got spoopy, we pinged off. And then I was using the on-grid Raitaru to tether while I'm like planning on where I'm going to warp in next.
Did you say spoopy? What's that?
Spoopy, yeah. So somebody got close to us and we're doing damage, right?
Oh.
We didn't bring a bunch of Logi. We only had like 4 or 5 Logi ships.
Can you break down that term for me? I've never heard it.
It's like spooky, but like being like kind of funny about it.
Being poopy?
Spoopy skeletons.
No, it's like spooky, but it's like kind of not serious.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Is that an EVE term, or is that just a...
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Right. It's kind of like how I call harbingers harbabies, right?
Yeah.
It's RCS speak.
Okay, good. Wasn't sure if I was just being a boomer. Okay.
Kind of are, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to be. All right. So in the end, it was pretty exhausting for you. It wasn't your style of fight. A ton of people, mostly shooting everybody, which you said is kind of normal for these things, which is interesting to me.
So there's like a GIF that Odysseus Okalar made like a year and a half ago for it's called Every Effing Citadel Timer. And it just has like all the groups that are in the low sec war zone. And everybody's dancing, right?
Yeah, give me a paste of that if you can. I'll try to find it because it was this morning and it's way back there. I think it's buried.
I'll link it in podcast.
When Zeneria gets talking in Discord, it just buries everything else. And Spot here helps him out. All right, I'll pull that up here. This is so funny. I love.
Did I use a spotter? I had my triple box. I had a prober. I had a couple of people in fleet who were trying to help me point out stuff, and I did a grid of bookmarks beforehand. So
this one has always cracked me up when it first came out. Oh, I think I fell on the floor.
Yeah, no, it's not an exaggeration. That's pretty much every fight in the war zone. Like the names change over time, but it's just everybody shows up to the timers and we have a big dance.
So that's the Citadel owner there, George Clooney, and he's just freaking out at all the different crazy people that are coming and descending upon him. And they're all ludicrous and nutty in their own way. But they're coming to have a good time, so they're all dancing.
Yeah, like I saw some people like linking battle reports with like Snuff on one side and then like everybody else in the fight on the other side. And they're like, Snuff just beat 1,000 people. It's like, no, 1,000 people beat themselves up while Snuff shot a Citadel, right?
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Oh, but this video just cracks me up because it has so much personality. Who made that? That is so good. It's classic.
Odysseus Okalar.
Yeah, I love that one. I'll give you guys a link to it. You should keep it. This is, for me, it's classic Eve.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic GIF. It's one of the best that I've seen. Like, just memes that I relate to in Eve.
There you go. All right.
The meme is from like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. So yeah, some groups have changed, right? But
yeah, the name's changed, but it's LowSec is like that. Or is it LowSec or is it?
It's LowSec, yeah. This is about the faction warfare zone.
That's hilarious.
Basgerin's not faction warfare, but it was a LowSec fight.
Yeah. Was it weird going to Basgerin? Did people have trouble traveling across high
Some
sec?
of the some of the Usher Khan guys who were in fleet with me didn't have trouble in high sec, but it wasn't too bad. I moved some ships in beforehand, and most people have like alts or friends who can move a ship, and then they can just come in a scepter or something.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else about this fight that was interesting? Oh no, the second part is very interesting, right? Like the part 2.
The Keepstar, yeah, they're hitting the Keepstar armor timers tomorrow. So I guess we'll see when the whole timer is. I would like to try to get a bigger fleet because I want some of the snuff caps to die. Even if it's just a few more, right? So I'll see if I can. I mean, I'm not gonna pull something that beats snuff, but maybe I can get some groups to work together. I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be worth it to try if I have the effort.
Well, those Titans that they brought, and I'm talking about Snuff here, capable of taking down a Satio, but those same Titans are capable of taking down a Keepstar.
Oh yeah, no. Their Snuff has the ability to take down a Keepstar. Even with that kind of chaotic grid, they are incredibly powerful.
Yeah, for Snuff out to be stopped from taking down a Keepstar, you need some bit intervention like happened with Kamal a while back, when a bunch of other people showed up to drive them off.
Right. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. That's big news, and that's kind of sad news. That Keepstar belonging to Sixth Empire, that is the Space Pope and his crew, and will be probably attacked this weekend and beyond.
So, like, the thing about that is, I've heard it said that in Eve, things don't really exist until they get blown up. Like, because that's when you have, like, the whole story of something's existence.
Yeah, like, if you lose an AT ship, it has your name on it forever.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one way of looking at it. Okay.
And then you have, like, the whole story of the Keepstar or whatever.
Yeah.
Or AT ship or anything.
All right.
Even a coercer has a story, Matterall. Sorry. Go ahead.
We're going to jump down to Delve here for a second just to check in on what's going on. Gregorian, there's a couple of Fortizars that came down, one in 1DQ. Actually, let's go to 1DQ. I'll zoom in on that.
Yeah, we dropped a couple of Citadels yesterday. Don't ask me about the current op until it's over.
Because it's going on right now, right?
There's a current op. I'm not going to comment on it until it's over.
Okay.
But yesterday we dropped a couple of Citadels, one of which was a PL Fortizar in 1DQ.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get some eyes on that. Let's go into that system.
That one still has a few days to come out of its timer.
7 days, right? Oh, it's a 6-day timer.
Yeah.
Sorry about these map skills that I have here. There it is in Delve. And that's what I was trying to do. Right, and so there's 6, and then you have another Fortizar going down somewhere out of courtesy to you. Won't say where, but these are, not that the opposition won't know. But these are important moves because putting down Fortizars is setting up a safe zone for you in a system which you need to operate in to give you options. And so if 1DQ is going to have a enemy Fortizar in there, that's a big deal. I don't know how effective it'll be. It could be just a distraction. That's what the Imperium thinks, that they just wanted people to move towards 1DQ and away from M2 so they could maybe do a breakout attempt or something. But Imperium didn't move to 1DQ, and the Fortizar looks like it's going up. But there may be a fight in a few days over that. We shall see.
Yeah, there are also a couple of Sov timers coming up within Helm's Deep over the weekend.
Oh, really? That would be up here somewhere. I think one of these.
And if we can take down the iHubs there, that undermines the whole concept of Helm's Deep by allowing Sinos to be lit. Because an iHub that goes down would prevent the system from being Sino jammed until they retake it and hold it for a few weeks.
I think it's, what's the point of that? Is just to take it away from, here's Helm's Deep system. Let's go to the map version. What's the point of attacking Helm's Deep? Is it just
that was they established it as their safe crabbing space, that since it was going to be permanently Sino-jammed, it would be hard to bridge fleets into.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. That's going to be interesting. So I think this weekend we'll have some combat, some consequential combat going on in Delve. I think a lot of stuff going on right now is consequential. It's just a slow boil. Everything seems to slow down after the battle in M2, which was now about 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. It's kind of interesting because the Imperium after M2 seemed to have some momentum. Certainly they thwarted all of Pappy's momentum, right? Like Pappy was almost came to a standstill. And that was impressive to see a juggernaut like Pappy smashing its way through, getting into Delve, really kind of taking the place over, chasing Imperium into what we're pointing at right now. And then this unexpected fight happens in M2 where after Christmas Treaty, there's a lot of ambition on Pappy's side, little cockiness, I think. They got a little confident, and pow, they are clocked. With the server going berserk and them getting essentially squeezed, they just lost all momentum. They just came to a standstill. And it took days and days for them to slowly start generating some kind of momentum again. What was the Imperium doing in that time? You know, they bought themselves some time, and they did roll back like 3 iHubs that were important, because the iHubs, the infrastructure hubs, when the Imperium destroyed those, really gave any Keepstar that was in that system where the iHub was destroyed more lifespan, at least 30 days more lifespan. And that is definitely some progress. I think they also did a little bit of work over here in Curse
Catch
area. Yeah. they were coming in to catch this area. I'll hit catch here. But I don't know if that's significant work. Like it's it doesn't seem to be. There's catch. So they did some attacking there, and really Dread Bomb is the one that's taken over space there. But over here in Delve, it doesn't seem to be. I don't know if there was much for them to do. They did roll back some systems for sure, and they rolled back some gains that Pappy had. So there was definitely some stuff that was done, but it doesn't feel now, it feels more like it's even. And Pappy seems to be starting to become victorious again in these battles. What's your impression of that?
I think one of the mistakes that the Imperium has consistently made since the beginning of this war is that they haven't been aggressive enough when they've had opportunities. Like, I think that if they were a bit more aggressive when they took out all of our momentum, and they could have if they had pushed it back a bit more, they might have done serious damage and possibly ended the war. Yeah. But they clearly didn't do that.
Well, you would think if they had, because what Pappy does is I've seen this a few times now. They do the unexpected. It's like, oh, you're not going to attack so soon, are you? And they attack that soon. And Imperium's done a few of those things where they've done the unexpected bold thing, we'll call it, but not much. It seems more like they're taking a step back, and picking their moment to strike, and they'll strike, and they will win or hit, but they're moving backwards while they're fighting. And that's what it's felt like this whole war. And then, you know, this M2 battle happens, and they punch Pappy, and Pappy stops cold, basically, and is stunned, and that's kind of what it looks like. But instead of wailing on him and finishing him off, or attacking T5, sorry, is it T5 or TZ5?
T5Z, TAC I.
Thank you, T5Z. Or putting a structure in there and threatening it, you know, trying to undermine it militarily. Instead of doing stuff like that, they seem to just still be on the defense. And I don't know. And what you see is that the real warfare, the real offense coming out of the Imperium is psychological warfare. It's making Vili try to look like he's, you know, incompetent or not worthy of being followed, or going after Pro-God. And that seems to be where a lot of the offensive stuff is going. But militarily, they're besides the iHubs, which were really good victories and stuff, I haven't seen a lot of like going after the core problem.
And honestly, I think that the personal attacks on Vili and people like that go a bit too far.
Yeah. Well, Pink Rabbit, I think that's your name. He says, what are you talking about? If you overreach, you're stuck in bubbles with your SCAP fleet. A super cap fleet, I think is what he means by SCAP fleet. And nobody's talking about using your super capital fleet, but maybe that's what it takes. I'm not sure. A lot of the stuff that I saw was Pappy, because they have overwhelming numbers, so it's a lot easier for them to do this, will do a bold move, and you know, like they moved to T5Z. They you know, they took an attack on 1DQ. They're doing things that are surprising, and they're getting, you know, you guys, the Imperium, are pushing them back. I assume you're from the Imperium. Sometimes. But sometimes it seems overwhelming. Like the YZ9 was overwhelming. When the bubbles went up, it was just there was no way to win that fight. T5Z wasn't contested. So there's moments where big things happen because it's just not contested. So it's interesting to me. I'm not trying to make the Imperium feel bad about what they're doing. They clearly have a strategy of backing up but punching when they can, because they're outnumbered. But it's almost now to the point where they got into a corner, and luckily when they did hit back, they hit hard and effectively, stopping the momentum of Pappy. But Pappy now seem to be reconstituting, and if they've put a Fortizar in 1DQ, and if they're doing stuff in and around Delve again and winning those fights, which I think they just killed 2 Fortizars yesterday. Actually, that was period basis. So maybe it's not that bad, but it does seem like they had a moment there to do something that I don't think there's anything that surprising happening out of that moment. Maybe it's just not surprising. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. All right. But I do see a lot of offense. Like there's definitely a media offensive against Test, right? To make fun of Ron or to go after Villy or to go after Pro God. Like there's definitely a media offensive. Then they go after Brave and whoever else. They're trying to tear them apart psychologically because probably they are outnumbered and they can't take them on in the game because N+1 is such a, it's really kind of a unsurprising gameplay. Okay, so that's Delve. Let's go up here into the north. Talk to our friend Murray. Way up here in Tribute. What's up? How are you doing?
Currently dying in the Dramiel, but other than that, we're doing pretty good.
Should I keep talking and let you die and then we can talk?
No, I'm dying. There's nothing I can do about it.
What system are you dying in?
15W.
It's a classic system. A bit of a choke point. Let's go there. 15W is up in Tribute. My
homies decided to throw some meme caracals at an SH, and it appears they died. Oh well.
15W GC. There it is.
I guess that means that NSH has technically won their first fight against Road Capel.
Well, you were saying that first set the stage for us. What's going on up there, and how well is it going?
Well, so about 3 weeks ago at this point, Fraternity approached every independent alliance that was left in Tribute and Vale and offered them a rather mediocre deal for the structures that they had in that space, and basically said, this is our offer, otherwise get out. Because they wanted both the regions for themselves. And pretty much everybody in the area, for the most part, said, well, that's a garbage amount of money. I think I'll just fight you instead. And so the primary actors have been Road Capel, Toilet Paper, Quote Alliance, and Brotherhood of Spacers, who technically live in Venal, but are some good homies anyway. And we've been fighting with some other friends against Fraternity, and more recently Nulseknaya Shalyupin in the area.
Mm-hmm. They actually left the Fountain area.
Huh?
They were in Fountain for a long time.
Yeah, they were. Then they skipped over to Syndicate and didn't find any content. Now they're up here. But yeah, so Fraternity has so far failed to take anything except like one system somewhere that's not important. So I don't remember which one it is. And they've lost most major fights. They do have a Fortizar anchored in Toilet Paper staging, but they haven't been able to do anything with it. And Nulseknaya Shalyupin, who showed up about a week ago to hit Road Capel, have been similarly repulsed, so far having not been successful in killing any of the iHubs or TCUs that they've targeted.
Are you finished being dead yet? I can hear your mouse clicks.
Can you not hear me talk?
Yeah, I can hear you talk. You sound a little clearer now, but I could hear all the clicking.
Oh, that's my push to talk. The
Oh,
key.
really?
It's on my mouse. I don't know why you can hear it, because my mouse and the microphone are on the opposite sides of the table.
I don't know. I hear
Definitely
some.
emails.
I hear some clicking. Click, click.
Mm,
All right.
I'm not typing.
All right. Good. Then go ahead and continue.
Yeah, but so far, it's been sort of a stalemate, but a stalemate for the people who are trying to invade means they're being unsuccessful so far. So we consider that a victory.
Let's go look at.
We expect that eventually Fraternity will bring their entire super fleet down, and then we'll be pushed out. But they haven't tried that yet. As far as we're aware, about 50 or 60 of their Titans are still stuck in M2 tech anyway. And the rest of their EU/USTZ is not particularly threatening.
Let's zoom into this map here so we could see a little bit better. What's toilet paper? Is that named after the shortages of toilet paper over the last year or something?
No, they're a French
that alliance
alliance.
has been around for a while.
Yeah,
they're one of the few fully French-speaking alliances in the game. We wouldn't fight them in large fights because we're all USTZ and Rote Capelle, and they're all EU, so we never really cross paths. But we would skirmish a lot.
And
And
weren't
this
they
war
Trigger
is-
Happy's closest ally?
They were. And then Trigger Happy decided that their alliance leadership was burnt out, and they hit him with that fade and disappeared to go live with Volta or something.
Yeah. I've seen them in Volta. All right, so we form Volta sitting there in Fade. I see what you mean. Hide your nodes.
Volta alts or renters or something of that equivalent.
Yeah, toilet paper. You said it's French. You wrote Capelle. Is it right on top of you? You have good real estate, wrote Capelle.
It's fun real estate. Doesn't make
yeah.
a lot of money, but it's fun.
It's MTACO and probably 15W as you were in right now, that whole area. Freight train diplomacy.
They
Like
still have Sav, but they've since left for Providence. They did not have an interest in fighting in this war.
all right. So Fraternity made an offer saying, we'll take your renters pretty much. Like they intend to move into this space, don't they?
We don't have any renters, so they didn't have any. We didn't have any renters they could take from us. But they ended up offering us what was functionally the equivalent of about 15 to 20 billion ISK for all of our space and a bunch of our structures, which is a joke. Is the most polite way I can put it.
Mm-hmm.
So we laughed at the joke and then changed all of our sob timers so that they were harder for an AUTZ alliance to hit, which made Norhouse very unhappy. And we've been fighting them ever since. And it's been a pretty good time.
Yeah. You know, that was the other correction I wanted to make was yesterday I was talking a little bit about this and I said Rote Capelle a low-sec group, and they're not, and they never have been that I can remember. They were a long time ago. Yeah, a long time ago they were.
Before Rote Capelle moved to our current space, they lived in Kavran in low-sec, and they had been for some time at that point. Rote Capelle's bounced between low-sec and null-sec, kind of as the wind suits them. Not particularly tied to sovereignty in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's there and it can generate content, they'll take it.
Yeah. Well, I remember them as kind of low sec and NPC null. So that's where that got stuck. But yeah. And is this the first time they've taken it? Or
No. Rote Capelle used to hold Sav in like the old Quirius Fight Club.
Okay.
Back when it was like actually a fight club and not a goon charade or whatever.
You're in Rote, right?
Currently, yes.
All right. So it's not been your home for a long, long time.
No, I've only been in it for a couple months.
Yeah. Always liked Rote Capel.
What's
Always
the story
feared
with
them.
Cosmic Coalition?
Cosmic Coalition? Where's that?
Renters.
Yeah, there's a little white blob there.
Oh, right in the
The
middle
renters
here.
from who? I thought all of the landlords have moved on.
I think Volta has renters. Rote doesn't. He was saying Rote doesn't.
Oh,
So who are they rented to
having
is my question.
having renters who actually live in space is just an exercise in watching them bot and having to kick them, and that's not really worth anybody's time, if you ask me. I'd rather just not support botting by not having renters.
Hmm. Well, what I've heard from Fraternity is that you guys are putting up quite a good amount of resistance, and it's very impressive that you guys are not rolled by a big group like Fraternity or Winter Coalition that's coming.
I mean, I've always said, which a lot of people have disagreed with me over the past 2 years, and I think what I've kind of always laughed at a little bit is people have always said, "Oh yeah, Tribute and Veil, they're nice and they like exist and it's okay. But if any of the big blocks actually wanted that space, they could just take it and that would be it." And I've always kind of like chuckled at that. And like, all right, yeah, eventually a big block could take that space if they brought their entire super fleet and sat it there. But if they're not willing to commit supers, they're not going to take the space. Like, the people who live here are here because they like to PvP, not because they like the crab.
Yeah,
And so you've got a bunch of pretty well hardened, solidly at least mid tier PvP alliances that can
yeah, it would be
definitely fight
possible. It
above
just
their weight
wouldn't be
class.
worthwhile enough for a big block to actually want to do it.
I mean, like we said before, like Fraternity offered to pay us like 15, 20 bill as an alliance. They offered to pay TP the equivalent of like 35. They've lost like 700 billion ISK fighting us since then.
They should have just put that money towards it, you mean?
Like we made more as an alliance killing an abandoned Asbel that we scouted in Branch than Fraternity offered to pay us. That Asbel was Fraternity's. So like, I don't know if they thought we were just going to look at the name and be like, oh, well, we can't beat them. I guess it's time to go home. Or whatever. But if they were looking to take this space with as little effort / money as possible, there were definitely better methods.
Yeah. Oh, do you think Freight Train took the money and took off, or do you think they
No, they joined Wrecking Crew.
just left? Okay.
I do not know if they got paid or if they got paid how much they got paid.
Hmm.
I just know that they did not think that the war would be good, particularly for their newer players, and so they left before any of the structures that they had down would be placed at risk.
All right. So how's it been living in that area right before Fraternity came up? Is it exciting there?
Well, same as before. I mean, we get a lot more PvP close to home. I haven't had to go more than 10 jumps to shoot anybody in 3 weeks. It's great. NSH keeps shooting our sovereignty, which means I need to go like 3 jumps to kill them. It's fantastic.
That is pretty good.
Not to mention the fact that NSH still hasn't figured out how to beat sacrileges, so I just undock the same thing into them every time. They keep dying.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't it be cool if I mean, in this circumstance, I see that as what the ecosystem that's been built there is really beneficial to players who want to fight. That's what they do in ships. And if they could, in some way, if CCP could focus on harnessing that, people who want to fight should fight, not have to travel everywhere to fight, and then leave groups alone that actually want to build. So it's not such a, I don't know, not such a power disparity between people who destroy builders or peaceful civilizations, then they might be onto something that feels actually, I don't know, more civilized, more interesting.
I think the game would be a lot more interesting if there were more areas like Pureblind, Tribute, and Veil in general. And I think that's on CCP to try and incentivize people to exist in smaller and mid-sized groups, where, like, living in those smaller groups and not having a large blue list is actually beneficial in some way.
So it makes me think of something I was talking about the other day, where every group I've ever been in has been an RDS of some flavor, and every person I know in an NBSI group basically can shoot nobody in nullsec, and I can shoot everybody in nullsec. Like, so like it's completely backwards from what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Because the
for
a lot of people just, they're blue. Everybody's blue, right?
Yeah. Well, for newer players, just to catch up with you, let's give them some tools. Can you describe what NRDS
right, so
is?
NRDS is not red, don't shoot. Now, there's different flavors of it, like NRDS in certain areas, or NRDS in, with some exceptions, like a lot of faction warfare groups might have NRDS, except if somebody comes into a faction warfare complex that they're by definition hostile if they do that. Some people say like suspect is a valid target, some say it's not, blah blah blah. There's different, but not red, don't shoot, versus NBSI, which is not blue, shoot it, which means if they're not blue, kill them. And a lot of people who are not blue shoot it tend to blue everybody, and a lot of people who are NRDS tend to red everybody.
Maybe at the block
yeah.
level, but I can promise you we don't have too many blues.
Obviously not everybody. I know rote, because sometimes I end up fighting them when I'm roaming out there, but by and large, like a lot of the, like the big groups in null, not rote is big comparatively, but not like super sized, right?
I don't think I'd agree with that description. Rote Capel
Road is big.
Compared to what I'm used to,
small, the smaller side of mid scale is what I would call Rote Capel. We're pushing up a little bit because our actives are up by like 40% thanks to this war, but
I mean,
at least
big or not is all perspective. Like, if you're in smaller groups the whole time, what you would call a mid-sized group might be something I call a big group, and something you'd call a big group is I'd call like a gigantic group, right?
Okay, I just want to get you updated here. We are tracking fleets going. Pappy has just logged in Titans and Supers. Dreads are undocking. This looks like a full-scale scramble to get into M2, possibly a breakout attempt. That's what's valuable for them in that system at this time. The Imperium has reacted with mass logging in 1DQ, so they are putting up their defensive fleets quickly. We'll see what happens. We don't have a camera in that system at the moment. I don't have access to a camera in that system. I'll try to get you information as it comes up. This is the T5Z scan, so you can see there's a ton of revelations and Naglfars out there. Dreadnought's number at 320. That's bigger than a full fleet. So full fleet is 255. So that's at least 2 fleets. Those will probably go in. And I imagine, I'm not sure how those will be used, actually. We'll try to get someone in here that can talk tactics on how this will go down. And we'll try to get cameras there. If you have eyes, Rain, I guess, Rain Chocolate, or Chocolate Rain. Let me actually send you over to live coverage now from Rain. And so we'll just go ahead and raid her. And we'll thank Arsia and Marie for hanging out with us, and Gregorian.
I need to go blow up NSH now. They're being very rude.
All right, man. Take care.
Have a good
Yeah.
one.
Thanks, Arsia. Okay, we'll send you over there now so you guys can see this in real time. Looks like it's a legitimate big fight. And we will see you Sunday on Talking End Stations.
Yeah, I'm in that fight, but I'm not going to comment on it yet.
I know. See, there's rain, and here you go. We'll start the raid.